Hey guys, welcome to What Does It Mean to Be Human, a podcast on life, meaning, and everything. And I'm Ron Saylor, the creative warrior, joined by my good mate Ben Gare. And today I'm out in nature. You probably can hear the birds singing. And I thought, well, why not be in nature, right? Let's connect to the earth, connect to our hearts, and let's just start the day the right way. So, Ben, how are you today, my friend? What's been happening in your world?
Yeah, good man. I think we just had the sort of semi-weird long weekend due to the Queen's passing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a bit of a disturbed week last week, but yeah, I'm doing all right, man. It's Monday morning here, and yeah, picking up from where we left off.
Yeah.
And you,
And
so we were
we've
having a
also, yeah, sorry, mate.
we were having a quick chat before about what your processes has been. Last week we talked about polarity and masculine feminine. So yeah, just wanted to check in with you. What's the latest developments along those sorts of lines?
Yeah, good question, mate, and good. Thanks for asking. So for me, it was. I think I was a bit raw with it last week, right? And I was still trying to process,
Mm,
integrate all that was going on. Now I do a practice called spirit guidance. For some of you, it may be connecting to your higher self, connecting to spirits, your guides, whatever you may want to call it. Where I connect to my guides and to essentially to my higher self to all time and space, and I seek guidance. And so I went into that space asking, how can I connect? How can I make this a tangible uh, understanding of the masculine, the feminine, right? The left, the right, all that sort of stuff. And the information that came through was it came around the chakras. And I'm not too versed in chakras. I mean, I've done a little bit on it, meditations and stuff, but it's not something I really work with. But what I kept saying, the information that kept coming to me was you need to focus on the navel, focus on the navel and the heart chakra. Focus on the navel and the heart chakra working together. Focus on the energy circulating. And the figure eight kept coming up, right? It was just this figure eight. Just focus, figure eight, and just how the polarity, and we've spoken about polarity before, about the energies and how they kind of weave in and out, where one will have the more prominent leading out and the other comes in to feed, and they feed in and out of each other. So really all week what I've been doing from that process, my meditation changed in the morning, where I was doing like a technique, a Buteyko technique about reduced breathing for performance, and just to maintain a nice sense of grounding in who I am, into this visual meditation where now I'm seeing images and seeing the chakras in my body and really connecting the different chakras, in particular around the navel and around the heart chakra, and seeing this swirling light, this energetic swirl. And every day it's kind of been changing, because it started off just with the two chakras, and now I'm seeing most of the chakras. So it's almost like each day I'm seeing more is opening up for me. And with each day, I'm seeing more light in this meditation, more swirling. And I think I also told you how my breath has changed. So then I started doing the fire breath, and a lot of people do this in yoga. And my interpretation of the fire breath is the quick, short pulses either through your nose or through pursed lips. However, this morning, the meditation was so internal, visual, that I wasn't physically doing the action, yet my body still had the same response as if I was. And I was like, fuck, this is weird. This is new. I like it. It's a bit weird. And I had to, and my breath, my actual physical breath was so subtle that I almost stopped breathing for quite a while. Yet internally, I was still doing this fire breath, and my body was still responding physically to this fire breath. That's kind of where I'm at, mate. So feel free to break that down, give us some information, tell us what that means to you, because this is the sort of work that you do. You're familiar with this sort of stuff.
yeah,
So, mate, where do you want to start with that?
yeah. There's two major points that I feel like touching on from that. Um, Probably just a quick breakdown of what chakras are, just for any of the audience, and for a little bit more depth of information for you. Um, They're considered to be these kind of sort of interlocking spheres that run throughout the body. I mean, there's seven popularized ones. but there's many smaller ones. And so these 7 run up and down the length of the body, and they all have a different sort of flavor or feel or an emotions attached to them. So the base chakra is about grounding and earth and the animal, the human, like the bit of us that's just not about the consciousness. It's about the pure animal self. So it's a lot to do with like food and exercise and those kinds of things that keep you grounded as the human animal that you are, beyond spirit, beyond anything deeper than that. The second one is generally considered three fingers under the navel. And that's to do with creativity and sexuality. So when you said about the navel, I'm curious to get a deeper tuning in for you to walk away with and maybe give us some feedback next time. But yeah, that's creativity and as I say, sexuality are the 2 main flavors of the second chakra. So if it's okay. So it's probably more on the feminine side, that chakra, as a chakra, if you were to label anything. But no hard and fast rules at all. Third is considered halfway between the navel and the heart chakra, and that's the power center. So again, that would sort of be considered a very vague masculine sort of trait, because it's about how you carry yourself in the world, how you're penetrating the world, how you're moving forward, and the kind of energy you bring to it. It's a lot about business or the logical kind of like progression of things. Heart is obviously your heart chakra, and it's about your connection to things, love, and stuff like that. So very broad, basic idea. Throat would be throat chakra. 5th chakra is the throat. That's about your communication, how you share your message in the world, how you communicate with others, your message to life, so how communication looks for you. 6th is in the middle of the brain, the pineal gland, and is to do with your vision. So creating that third eye, the classical third eye kind of concept, how you envision your world and your reality and how you want to manifest it and stuff like that. And 7 is the top of your head and it's considered the crown and your connection to God or your higher self or your spirit aspects beyond the human, So yeah, the quick little breakdown, very quick little breakdown there of what each of those flavors look like and mean, and a very basic rundown of the things that you can start to play with when you're diving into these concepts and how you might build up or release energies from those certain areas. So yeah, I'd be curious to get a bit more dialed in for you when you're doing that, about what these individual things look like. And each one also has a color. So you've got base is red, 2nd is orange, 3rd is yellow, 4th is like a green, 5th is blue, I think 6 is violet, 7 is purple, or it could be 6 is purple and 7 is violet. And I could be slightly off with a few of those. But again, if you start to notice, if you're tuning into those individual energies and those colors become present to you, interesting little way to start to dive into what the chakras mean and how they could be guiding you in certain kind of ways. So did that bring up any kind of insight for you? I'll wait on the other point and just see if any of that resonates, or you got an insight from what I just shared.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I got an insight specifically, but everything you shared made a lot of sense. And everything you said in relation to the chakras is information. Like, I have a general information about that sort of stuff that you shared. I think for me, it's like still requires a bit more fleshing out. Like I've said, I've never really done this level of visual chakra meditation intentionally on my own. This is like just spawned right? Like I've done workshops where you kind of go into and it's a guided and this sort of stuff where you're chanting, like, we've done chanting for the different chakras and the different sounds and all that
Mm.
sort of stuff. This is kind of like just evolving. This is like a spontaneous evolvement where I am kind of in the process still learning. So what I do take out of what you said was at some point it's going to get specific.
Mm.
What's the specific message that's been communicated through these chakras that I need to be aware of, right? And I think that's what's going to develop over the next week or so. So because I'm still like fleshing, feeling, experiencing, learning, I'm kind of like navigating this whole new thing right now. Nothing specific is there just yet, but that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that it's
Mm.
going to get to that point. So there'll probably be a bit more information around that in our next podcast.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, it was just information both for you, which I'm sure you probably knew anyway, but yeah, just for any listeners that are kind of curious about what different flavors are, that's stuff that I work with people because in my experience, there's emotions attached to each one and how to use that emotion to sort of unpack it as well. So that's a program that I run through with people in general. So yeah, I find it just, again, I don't love rules in terms of like, this is how it is, but having a rule gives you at least something to learn, to narrow in the field of scope of what you're looking at, because it gives you a focal point. It's also like health and disease and all that kind of other stuff. It's like there's many different things that are contributing to it, but once you've got a label, once you've got a diagnosis, you can start to then pull it apart and feel what rules can be broken or bent, or how to work with them within your own experience, as opposed to this is how it is. It's like we're not talking about it has to be that way. It's like anything I think we've talked about with profile systems as well. It's like it's great to get a flavor of something, but then you have to make it your own and your own experience, and then throw out all the rules of it is this way because it's whatever it is for you. It's like it doesn't matter. It's about, because we can't prove most of things in general. Like it's just an idea, and it's one that's been built up by many people over a long time. But so collective consciousness has created to the extent it now exists. But is it a real thing, or it's because only people have focused on it and it's become its own thing because of focal intent? So yeah, I find that these kind of definitions and things help with narrowing down at least ideas that you can start to play with. So the other thing that I was curious to bring up was, so this is a very much a tantric principle in that we're all electric beings, like electricity, positive, negative, is to me the fundamental of the universe. No matter what is up is down, what is left is right, what will always come and go is this ebb and flow of polarity, positive and negative. And this is not saying that negative is bad, it's just the opposite of, and so that's apply that to any scenario you want to name that. And so there's an interesting principle in Tantra that the heart is considered the negative pole. So in someone in a male body, it's considered the heart is a negative pole and the groin is a positive pole. And opposite for someone in a female body, so the heart is a positive pole and the groin is a negative pole. Now, again, this is not about making things right or wrong, and you can change it depending on sexual orientation, like whether you're gay or something like that does change it, and it can be moved around. But it's considered that male or positive in the groin area because we're quite quickly turned on, but need encouragement to come up to our heart, because we're not the emotional beings that the feminine is. So in terms of like when you come together with someone of the opposite or same sex, but it's again how you've orientated your poles, your polarity, you're starting to create the balance flow of connecting those circuits. So, and again, that the feminine, the people in a female body generally, and again, let's just not get into the politics of it can be changed. So if you're a female but present more masculine, it can be changed and is rewirable or has been rewired in a certain kind of way. And because females tend to be negative in the groin areas because they need time to warm up. They're often in their heart. They connect with love before sex. So therefore they need time to warm up, whereas the guys are kind of ready to go straight away, you know. So and when you start to, so, and again, by saying that these ideas can be changed, it's because when you start to orientate your own poles or connect your own masculine and feminine, you will either switch these circuits or connect these circuits. So the masculine and the positive and the negative, masculine and feminine, align within self. So I find it kind of interesting that you had said that the process that was going on for you, I think you might have even said it when we were off camera before, but you're marrying the masculine and the feminine, and it becomes this figure eight of the two joining. And to me, and I suppose the navel is the center point of those two poles. So the interesting kind of concept there, that it's the possibility of you switching or at least marrying the positive and the negative poles of electricity within your body. Anything come up there for you?
Mate, that's great what you just said. I'm not aware of that to that level.
Yeah.
I'm aware that yes, there's a balancing of the energies. That's what I'm tuning into. But like I said, chakra work is not my thing. So I'm only tuning into what my guidance is giving me and what my body's doing through my meditation. As I said, I didn't choose to go and have this meditation. It's just what happened to me to do this. So you're kind of like just reinforcing, you're kind of like validating that the process I'm going through is a natural process that to bring together these two energies, these two feminine and masculine. I'm not talking about the physical form, but the energetic. You talk about the electric, the energetic, the pure form of light of these two different energies coming together in a dance where they balance and they dance. Yeah, I mean, this made, to me, this sings to my heart because, I mean, I love it because I've been trying to, with my visualization, this figure of eight, it's kind of moved how I was shifting from the navel to the heart. Now it's kind of going from the base coming up all the way, and it's this figure eight. And you're right, it's kind of like at the navel is that point where they intersect. So you saying this really just validates what my process is actually occurring. So, mate, this is great. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and that's why I thought, because again, we had the check-in before, and it's like it felt like the subject was coming out, and it was just a good way to share with you what my perception of it was, but share with others so that they get an understanding of potential things that can help you again narrow down this field of helping you dial in what's potentially going on and how you can kind of exaggerate it and build it up even more, or track what's actually going on in the background. So yeah, kind of great little points that I've picked up along the way, and it's always like, yes, it's great to marry the poles outside ourselves with our partners and whatever that looks like, because that gives us interacting with others is always more difficult than interacting with self, you know, because you know, they've got their own version of reality, and we're trying to marry the two. But the ultimate is to come to that place in self where all aspects are married to each other. And this is what we've been talking about in the masculine and feminine, because again, you have the possibility to tap into both, either, all of the above, you know, because you are inherently both. And this even starts from in the womb. Like we all start as a embryo, we start all feminine, until, was it the X chromosome? The male bit either kicks in or it doesn't. So I always found that as a really interesting little idea, that like we inherently start there, and then everything just changes because one DNA strand kicks in or it doesn't, you know. So that kind of, again, confirms to me that we have both within us. It's just, where do we put our attention to? And again, this is where you can be in whatever body and you don't identify with it as such, because you inherently have both. You know, like, there is nothing wrong with you. There is no right or wrong here. It is, you've just attuned yourself to looking at one particular pole or both poles, or you have a more integrated understanding of these concepts as balance. So yeah, ultimately it's about the inner marriage that needs to happen, for us to become a whole being. Again, not reliant on the external to validate or to create or to define who we are or what we want. We can always choose that, but it's because we have it inside ourselves. And so that's this beautiful process of knowing thyself, you know.
Yeah, man. I love the way you just finished that, knowing thyself. Because for me, it's all about that, isn't it? It's all, how do we author our own lives? You know, who's the authority in our lives? Do we give our power away for validation, you know, for some sense of self-worth, you know, just to feel like we belong? Or do we reclaim ourselves and we reclaim our place in this world, in our own lives, by really beginning to understand who we are? And that starts on so many different levels. And, you know, I guess what the experience I'm having is one of those levels, right? It's just another stage of reclaiming a part that I've kind of probably neglected, or, you know, was not even aware of, or just refused to look at because of my own fears around my own belief patterns, around my own dysfunctional stuff, you know, that I go through. And I guess the work I've been doing over the last 8-9 months has kind of like set me up now to really go deep into this stuff, to just acknowledge all the good, bad, ugly, everything that I term as good, right or wrong, good or bad, whatever my perception of those meanings are. It doesn't matter anymore for me. You know, it's like, not that I negate it or dismiss it, but it's just like you said, Ben. It's all about knowing who you are. And when we know who we are, everything just connects. And you're right, we don't go looking external. Just on a side note, apologies for all the planes going over. That's going to probably disrupt some of the sound. So if we need to pause while that's going, let's just pause for a moment, right? So we don't want to lose any good information. But yeah, I'm not going to go on about that, mate. I think that was a great way you finished that, knowing who we are, because it's such a fundamental aspect. And I think a lot of us are starting to come back to who we are, right? A lot of us are starting to wake up to this, you know, like The Matrix is a great movie for that, you know. Which pill do you want to take? Do you want to take, I can't remember which color it is, the red one, wake up and live your life, or blue one, go back to sleep and just, you know, live in ignorance. I mean, and when you wake up, you cannot go back to sleep. It's just it's just like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're not going to go down that road. But anyway, so yeah, man, what else you got for us?
And well, it was just to say that, yeah, it's not selfish or anything like that to want to know self, because ultimately by knowing self, you will be more available to others and to connecting with others, and um, just being able to be present with people in general. So that's why this is the most valuable journey. Maybe we've been all externalizing it, usually from the outside and needing that validation, but the ultimate journey is really finding it within. So that you can come back out again, so it is this beautiful interplay of polarity. It's like, to know thyself, it's only a journey you can take. Nobody can take it for you. Nobody can do it for you. Again, people can be maybe there to help and guide you and point you in certain directions, give information like we've given here today. They all just help like create the pathways in the mind of this is why. But it's about finding what you need for you, because every single path is different. Every single individual has to figure out what works for them. And this goes for like food, exercise, meditation, creativity, sexuality, what modalities work for you, what don't, because we have this kind of shotgun approach of like everything, but there are things that are specific to you that only you can figure out. Again, people can give you information and it may resonate with you or it may not, but it's not like you have to do it this way. Meditation has to look like this. You have to be a vegetarian or vegan or something like that, because your makeup, your individual self is different, and that's this beautiful journey of certainly how I've done my life. It's like I spend a bit of time in each area to kind of hone in, does this thing make me feel better, freer, present, because it works for me, or it doesn't? Even if I took it on as because the collective or the people around me were doing it and it felt right at the time, it may not be. You've got to constantly be vigilant with self that you're not giving up your mind to follow some ideal or idealism or dogma or whatever it is, because because you think it's the way. It could be somebody else's way, it's the more you can know yourself, the more you can start to navigate the path that you need for you, and only you can figure that out. So again, take in everything, but filter for your understanding and what your personal needs are, because that is the true essence of the journey to me.
Yeah, well said, mate. And look, for all our listeners out there, look, probably a lot of you already in tune with all this stuff. You're already aware of all this stuff. You probably practice a lot of this stuff. For some of you, you may have just started the process, and it's okay. We always say it's okay to reach out for help, reach out for support. Um, let us help you get there. If you need support, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Work with us. Let us help you get there. Um, invest the time. Invest into your health. Invest into your wealth. And when I talk about wealth, I'm not talking about money. Invest into the wealth of your body, yourself, your mind, your emotions. So feel free to reach out or use your networks, whatever you have. But no, it's not something you need to do alone. This is done in community. This is done in love. This is done in communication, like reaching out, asking for support when you need it. And for some of us, that's always hard. Sometimes it's hard not to ask for support. We think we kind of got to do it on our own, and we've kind of like been built this way, and it's wired into our system. So when we share about this sort of stuff, I mean, we've been doing this stuff for like nearly over 20 years. So I know for myself, I've been doing this stuff for over 20 years, and it's really what the last 12 months stuff are starting to land for me. So it's just a practice, and like we talk about, practice creates momentum. It generates the energy, and the more you learn, the more you apply, the more better you get at it. So it's like flexing a muscle, right? It just takes will, it takes imagination, it takes courage, it takes courage to step into your fears, to step into your tension and go, fuck this. I don't want to do this because it's making me feel this way. Well, why is it making you feel this way? It's like starting to explore. You almost become your own coach in this process. You become your own therapist, and you just open up to the possibilities of what you can create and the resistances you have for what you can create. So, like I said, guys, reach out. Don't be afraid. If you need support, Ben and I are trained in this sort of stuff. We help people with this stuff all the time. So feel free to reach out to us and work with us if you feel comfortable. Let's start off with just an easy conversation just to see whether we connect, whether you think this is something you want to do. All I'm saying is don't think you got to do it on your own.
Mm. Yeah, there's a couple of cliche little sayings there. I've forgotten the second one now, but like that were there for me. That's like, we don't know what we don't know, So the other one was life begins outside your comfort zone, So as much as they, again, sound maybe cliched, they're true. Like that is the reality. If we knew all our stuff, we knew all our limitations and our blocks, and we wouldn't be here anymore. We wouldn't be, the question wouldn't even arise, because we would have already done the thing that we were supposed to do to get over the thing that was holding us back. So there's no shame, there's no problem with being hungry to know, and reaching out and asking and learning, and pick the people that you resonate with. Again, don't go in with a blanket, everybody can help me, because it's only their path. They will teach you their path because it's the thing that they know, and that may work for you and it may not work for you. And I always clarify with my clients, if we can even work together, because I'm not for everybody. I have a certain style and I have a certain way that works for me, and I know who that's going to resonate with and who it's not. So that's the integrity of the practitioner that knows that it's like, I'm not trying to be all things to all people. So it's about, finding what resonates with you and starting to go down the path of being uncomfortable and stretching what you knew to into areas that you don't, and figuring out what works for you. And again, always questioning and always having that depth of self first, so that you can start to go, is this path right for me? Is it not? And we're all going to fuck up at some point, so definitely been down that place many times, of thinking something's right for me and then getting to a certain kind of place and go, oh no, and then having the courage to again change it again. Don't sit in the well-worn path because you got lazy or comfortable there. Be open and honest with yourself and start to go, is this serving? Because again, things may appear in your life for periods of time because it's what you needed then, but it doesn't mean it's what you need forever. So it's about being open and adaptable, and constantly pushing that line of is this me, or is it something else, and starting to walk your own path. Well, I think that's probably a good place to wrap up, mate.
I was feeling the same, mate. I was feeling we could bang on forever, but I don't think we need to.
No, I think the message is clear. So, yep. Thank you very much for the chat and another opportunity to dive into stuff that we do, and support people in a greater understanding, and how that looks for them and the world. Appreciate it.
Me too, mate. As always, it's a really good podcast. I feel really blessed to be outdoors today, just enjoying the sounds of nature, getting my feet into the earth. It kind of fills me up with life, and it's fun. So, if you guys like the outdoors, get out there, have some fun, just dig your feet into the soil, get them dirty, get your hands wet, get your feet wet.
Absolutely.
So, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of What Does It Mean to Be Human, a podcast on life, meaning and everything. where you got two awesome blokes having a chat, just sharing from their hearts, right? And we encourage you to give us some feedback, give us some content, give us some comments. Tell us what you guys want to hear about. Tell us what you think. All right, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Cool. Thank you. Take care, mate. Chat soon.
Hey, mate.